Welcome back, everybody. 13 after the hour. Time for us to go behind the headlines. And, of course, we've been following this medical marijuana bill in the state of Illinois. And you may have caught some of my analysis of it. It would be the most restrictive medical marijuana bill in the nation. First of all, it's set up to be a 4-year pilot program. So patients could suddenly get the right to use cannabis, discover it's a miracle for them, and then 4 years later, it could all go away off the whim of, the legislature or whatever. So first of all, I think that's kind of cruel in the first place. At least make it, if you're going to do a 4-year pilot program, the people who get into it could be grandfathered in at least to not get busted for weed. It's just sad. Some other things that they're including in this, a 33 condition list of qualifying conditions. There's no chronic pain. There's no severe nausea. It's very, very detailed, especially the pain conditions for which you have to have, all sorts of documentation. You have to have tried every other possible remedy and surgery and pharmaceutical before you can even attempt to use cannabis. So much about this is very restrictive. Of course, no home grow, as we've seen, is the pattern from the past 7 states that have passed medical cannabis. Illinois would be 8, New Hampshire would be 9, New York would be 10 that are not allowing for home grow. So there's that issue with respect to this. But I want to get to this story because it kind of reveals a flaw, if you will, in the thinking of our opponents that oftentimes I don't think we take advantage of, and maybe we should. So let's check this out. This is from CBSLocal.com. The headline is Crime Commission asks governor to veto medical marijuana bill. Because we want the marijuana to remain criminal? All right, let's go on to it. The Chicago Crime Commission has urged Governor Pat Quinn to veto medical marijuana legislation approved by state lawmakers earlier this year. The commission said legalizing medical marijuana would, quote, present serious public safety risks to the citizens of the state, end quote. You know how like the other 19 states passed medical marijuana and the sky fell and there was chaos in the streets, right? Anyway. Back to the story. The governor has said he is open-minded on medical marijuana, but has not said if he would sign the legislation approved by the Illinois General Assembly. Crime Commissioner Executive Director Joe Ways said the amount of marijuana patients would be allowed to have is too high. Quote, allowing each cardholder 2.5 ounces of marijuana every 2 weeks will provide a surplus of marijuana that will undoubtedly find its way into the wrong hands and have significant law enforcement implications, end quote, Ways said in a written statement. So think about what that position really says. If we let people have, if we have a medical marijuana program, we let sick people have a decent amount of marijuana, and this is something else that has to be, brought up, is when they bring up 2.5 ounces, and cops talk about this, the typical consumer is in the 1/8 ounce area, somewhere in that range, right? So you say 2.5 ounces, people go, oh my God, that's a huge amount of weed. That's dealer levels. That's a major stockpile. Not for a sick person. Some of these people are going through plenty of medicine, and 2.5 ounces in a fortnight might be pushing it for some of them. They might be running out toward that 13th day. And people, they can't grasp the fact that the amounts necessary at a medical level are completely different. And so 2.5 ounces is, it's a start, but my goodness, I know a lot of people for whom that would be a difficulty. But let's get back to what their position really says. If we let sick people have 2.5 ounces of marijuana, there's a chance, undoubtedly, according to this guy, that some of it would find its way into the wrong hands. Well, what are the wrong hands? The wrong hands would be the non-medical people, right? The people not registered to the state, the people who are, healthy users of cannabis, who are getting marijuana now. They're already getting it. That's the thing that this statement, when they say this, it's almost as if they're saying, well, we don't mind cancer patients dealing with their chemotherapy, but not if some of it gets into some kid's hands to smoke a joint. So, sorry, cancer patient, we're going to have to veto this. Now, we really want to help you, but, we can't find a way to keep it out of the kid's hands. So you're going to have to suffer. That's really what it comes down to. It comes down to saying a certain segment of the population for whom cannabis could be a very beneficial treatment have to suffer because somebody healthy might get high. Even though somebody healthy is getting high now, and they're getting their marijuana from, let's say, less than savory elements sometimes. They're helping to prop up that black market, that Mexican cartel trafficking that's going on. These crime commissions, when they are lobbying against medical marijuana, it seems odd, doesn't it? If your whole point is to reduce crime, and here are sick people who, by definition right now, to get their medicine are criminals, You legalize medical marijuana, boom, less criminals. But they never seem to see it that way. You know why? Because it's a jobs issue. Has nothing to do with crime, has to do with being able to continue to bag and tag anybody with herb they find. They said it would have significant law enforcement implications. Yeah, like having to do your job, like having to enforce other laws against people who are more criminal, people who are violent, people who are actually causing problems in society. I mean, this reminds me of Mayor Bloomberg's statement the other day when he was saying, well, drug dealers, they just won't close up shop. They'll find other things to deal that'll be harder. Oh, so keeping the black market is a jobs program. It's a jobs program for the Chicago Crime Commission to continue to have people to bust. It's a jobs program for the dealers at the low level to make sure that we have something soft for them to deal. Wouldn't want to give them anything harder to deal, so we got to let them deal the weed. Is that really what they're saying here? When you really dig down into these prohibitionist statements and you take them at their face value, you can actually find the absurdity in what they're saying. A crime commission that's against reducing crime by legalizing medical marijuana, a mayor of a major American city admitting that we have to let people deal weed or else they'll deal harder stuff. I don't know to whom. I don't know who they're going to sell it to. Just listen closely and read behind the lines. You'll see a lot of this stuff. And with that sound, it is 4:20 here in the state of Colorado, where we have our constitutional rights to use medicine comes out of the ground or to just recreate if we like. Take advantage of that. We'll take you back when we come back. Aggo Schrago on the line with some Groovin' Thursday music.
Have you ever met that?